I would like to welcome all the esteemed panelists and the audience for joining this webinar on IndiaAI Safe and Trusted AI projects, where we intend to understand the industry and the academic role towards building safe and trusted AI. On the panel with us today, we have Srimati Kavita Bhatia ma'am, Scientist G, AI and ET Division METI, and also the Chief Operating Officer of the India AI Mission. As the two speakers of the webinar today, we have Mr. Sunil Abraham with us, who's the Public Policy Director for Data, Economy and Emerging Tech at Meta, as well as Professor Mayank Vatsa, who's a fellow IEEE IAPR professor at IIT Jodhpur. We welcome you all today. Thank you for joining us. I would request Ma'am Kavita Bhatia to kindly initiate the webinar by throwing some light on the ongoing second EOI of the Safe and Trusted project and the intentions of the IndiaAI mission.
Good afternoon, all of you, and I am very happy that so many participants have joined for this important topic. In fact, you all would be aware that Government of India has approved the whole of government mission, which is India AI mission in March 24. This is a very important mission because it looks into the entire aspects of the AI and emerging technologies and tries to cater to all through the various pillars. It has 7 critical pillars, starting with compute, where it will be creating 10,000 or more compute so that the researchers and startups can get easy and affordable access to this compute. In fact, last week only our minister has announced that we have been able to get 18,000 GPUs, high-end GPUs, at a very reasonable prices. So we will be start to share this compute with all the researchers and startups so that they can use and build innovative applications. The second important pillar is the large language model or large multimodal model. In fact, Minister during this press event only announced for the call for proposal for creating large language models or small language models for India, looking into the diversity of India and using the data sets of India, creating a Indianized indigenous large language model. Call for proposal of this has also been initiated. The third pillar is again a very important pillar, which is the India dataset pillar, where we will be bringing the Indian datasets onto this pillar so that you all can get access to this datasets and can be made available on registration so that you can access the important datasets of the Government of India as well as the private. The fourth pillar is the skilling pillar. Already this program has been initiated. We have started creating the data labs in tier 2 and tier 3 cities of the country. In fact, 2 of the data labs have been created, one in Delhi and one in Nagaland, where the courses on AI curator and AI curator is being initiated. And by this time, we already have around 200 students already trained onto these courses. Also, as a part of skilling pillar, we have already initiated the fellowships. Around 140 fellowships to the BTech students who are in the final year have been granted. They are working on AI applications for the social good, and around 40 for the MTech have been already initiated. We are working very closely with around 16 academic institutions for the PhD fellowships. People who will be joining this year on PhD can apply for the PhD fellowships of India AI. This pillar is an ongoing pillar. We will be onboarding many more BTech, MTech, and other students who are working on the AI field and then can get the fellowship so that they can successfully build AI applications for our country. The next pillar is the startup pillar. In fact, scheme document is being working, or we are working on it so that the startups can be benefited in the entire journey of their life, like pre-seed, seed, and the growth stage. And we will be giving mentorship, hand-holding so that they can get application developments and they can be hand-holded to scale up these applications. This will also have a close linkage with the application innovation pillar, where we have already floated 5 themes, innovation challenge in 5 themes, and we have got around 900 applications. The evaluation is going on. We have completed the evaluation for 3 themes, 18 applications have been shortlisted. They will be taken forward for the next stage where the funding and the mentorship and the other support required will be given to them. And so that the applications build can be taken for a national rollout. In fact, one more innovation challenge had been run specifically for I4C, where we have already shortlisted 20 teams who will be taken for a hackathon in the short while from now, so that they can build the solution required by the I4C, which can be implemented in I4C in the due course of time. And last, which is the most important pillar and the context of the today's discussion, is the safe and trusted pillar. This pillar actually emphasizes that we need to have a balanced and technology enabled for an India specific, so that the applications developed will be having no biases and will be using the indigenized data and will be using the social and cultural linguistic of our country. As a part of this pillar, we will be developing technical tools, guidelines, frameworks, so that we can use in this project and can also help the other organizations who are wanting to work can also use. As a part of this pillar, we had floated first EOI, where 10 themes were uploaded, and we received around 2,000 proposals. Based on the technical evaluation, 8 projects have been selected. In fact, Professor Mayank Vatsa is also one of the selected project. He will talk more when he will give a when he will come on board. The second EOI has been launched on 10th December to basically has a 5 themes, and we would request all the Indian-based academic institutions, R&D organization, government bodies, startups, private sector companies to come and participate, so that we have a large participation. The theme of the second EOI is watermarking and labeling, ethical AI framework, AI risk assessment and management, stress testing tools, deepfake detection tools, and they are very important themes in in this context of safe and trusted pillar. The last date of the submission, which has been extended period, is 9th February. We would request all of you to participate, so that we have a large audience participating in this. With this, I would request Ishani to take it forward and also ask Professor Mayank Vatsa and uh, Sunil Abraham to share their views from the industry as well as from the perspective of the academic institution. Over to you, Ishani.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a very comprehensive overview of the mission as well as the safe and trusted ongoing EOI project that we all here assembled for. I would like to invite Mr. Sunil Abraham as a first speaker for the webinar today. Sir, given your long-term industry experience where you've been working at the intersection of emerging technologies and public policy, we would like to understand the industry's opinion and their viewpoint on what factors are particularly very essential for developers in India to focus on while they're developing AI models, solutions, and frameworks for integrating safety as a core design principle in itself.
Thank you so much, Ishani. Good morning to everybody on this webinar. Let me start by expressing my deep gratitude to Madam Bhatia and all the other officials from METI who have been leading the work on artificial intelligence within the ministry. I think the whole nation is looking forward to the profound impact of the investments that will be made, that have been made last year and that will be made this year and in the years to come. The whole body of work that Madam Bhatia had explained, all of it is incredibly critical. And as a member of the industry, I just wanted to share some thoughts, as you have indicated, Ishani, on how this collaboration can happen. I want to begin with the word that both Madam Bhatia and you used, Ishani, which is trust. Trust is a very important precondition before all stakeholders can come to a common agreement that a particular system is safe. Otherwise, if there is no trust, then there can be differing evaluations. Some stakeholders may say that this system is safe, and other stakeholders will say that this system is not safe. So I'm going to dig through some of the factors that are important. I have identified 4 of those factors, and I'm going to demonstrate how 4 of those factors contribute to greater trust, not only between academia and industry, but also between the industry and the government and all other stakeholders. So let me begin with the very first factor, and that is, before I go into the 4 factors, I think I want to make exceedingly clear that this emphasis on openness that I'm going to make doesn't for a moment diminish the role of proprietary technologies in academia, in industry, and perhaps also in government. There is a very important role that proprietary technologies play when it comes to sustainability of business models and protecting intellectual property. So this is not a critique at all of the proprietary model. The proprietary model and the open paradigm can coexist very happily, as we have seen in many parts of the world. So beginning with factor number 1, the first factor is open access research. So ideally, the researchers in academia and in industry should publish at least a good percentage or proportion of their findings in an open fashion. Traditionally, open access research meant publishing in peer-reviewed journal articles, and that is indeed the gold standard. However, in certain areas of science, math as well, and also in computer science, increasingly there is a practice of publishing without targeting peer-reviewed academic journals. Sometimes the target is conference proceedings and so on. This is critically important for all of us to engage in this practice, and I would encourage everybody to publish much more, and ideally in an open access format under a Creative Commons license, so that there is no the research findings spread broadly. The second thing is to work on open data sets. So very similar to academic papers, there is a big opportunity. And METI, of course, has led through its example of supporting open data sets and open API-based access to data sets through the Bashani project. Hugely critical to drive AI adoption and including responsible AI adoption. Professor Vatsa has heard me speak about this several times, and usually I use the casual conversations data set as my example. So especially for Professor Vatsa, not to bore him, I looked up the data set page on the Meta website, and I found a new data set, relatively new, released last year, called the Facet data set. So here is a data set with 32,000 diverse, high-resolution, privacy-protecting images labeled across 13% attributes and 52% classes. And what is the use of this data set? To make sure that your computer vision models are robust when it comes to certain protected groups, and also does not discriminate or have any bias against these protected groups. So here you can see very clearly how a data set available under an open license is contributing to the goal of more trusted and more safe artificial intelligence. I move on to the third factor. The third factor, I believe, is open source code. And Meta has a long tradition of producing open source code in a variety of domains. We have 1,200 open source projects outside AI. Within the context of AI also, we have a large number of open source code projects, and many of them are on Hugging Face and GitHub, and you can access them. The project I want to focus on is PyTorch, because I think Meta went much further than our industry peers. Meta is the author of PyTorch. Soumit Chintala, a young Indian man, is a Meta employee. And what Meta did is it donated the whole PyTorch project, the copyright and the trademark, to Linux Foundation. So tomorrow, any government that wants to use PyTorch will not have this anxiety that the underlying technology is not somehow under their control, or the underlying technology is phoning home and sharing data, etc. So I think that is a wonderful thing, not only to build open source software, but also to donate that software project to an independent third party. Finally, I come to the fourth factor, which is open models. And here I would like to use the example of LlamaGuard. LlamaGuard is a fine-tuned version of Llama 3.2, the 8 billion parameter model. And what it does is it can be placed before any kind of LLM deployment. And LlamaGuard will make sure that some of the unacceptable outputs or inputs to and from the LLM are blocked at the level of LlamaGuard, as a sort of guard standing before the actual LLM. So here is an example of how models also contribute to safety. And all these models, we have 350 open models from Meta. They can be independently benchmarked for safety concerns by researchers, and their results can be replicated in a true scientific tradition. So all of this together, whether it's open access research, or open data sets, or open source code, or open models, all of them broadly fall under the bucket of open science. Open science is not mandatory in any way, but it is a best practice, and as far as possible, outside their proprietary limitations, if all stakeholders, academia, government, industry, the nonprofit sector, think tanks, all of us can work a little bit in the open science paradigm, it would be good for all of us. Madam Bhatia had spoken about the PhD fellowship program. This is also critically important. The only sort of comment I would like to make is what Meta has learned, especially from the FAIR Lab in Paris, is that it would be wonderful if some of these PhD students could have some kind of dual supervision, with one supervisor with their feet firmly in academia and one supervisor who is an industry participant. That is one way in which, again, this sort of symbiotic relationship between academia and industry can be built and accelerated quickly. Thank you so much, Ishani, and thanks, Madam Bhatia, for giving me this opportunity to share a few thoughts with all the participants of this webinar.
Thank you, sir. Those were some very valid points made. The mission also focuses on enabling access to all the resources, as you mentioned, critical for the developments in the emerging tech, particularly AI. I would now like to invite Professor Mayank. Professor Mayank is also one of the qualified selected applicants for the first round of EOI under the Safe and Trusted AI projects. So given your experience in the first EOI procedure, as well as the opportunity which this project enables the academic institutions and researchers to translate their research into actionable deliverables, we would like to know your experience and your insights on the process.
Sure. Thank you, Ishani. I hope I'll be able to share my screen. So I have a slide deck, a small slide deck to motivate the problem statement we are working on, and the connecting with how IndiaAI is helping in our research. I hope my slide is visible and it's in full screen mode. Okay, so so first of all, thank you IndiaAI mission, Madam Kavita Bhatia, for inviting me over here, and it's really a privilege and honor to be here this particular morning. And I would like to give, while Sunil has given industry perspective, I would like to give an academic perspective, like why we should, from academics, also focus on secure AI future. As Sunil has already highlighted the key definitions of safety and trust, these are two very important aspects of building any society for that matter. Safety, while stands for minimizing risk, ensuring robustness, and maintaining resilience in the AI systems. On the other hand, trust in AI refers to transparency, accountability, fairness, ethical use, and so on and so forth. It matters because there are different sectors, people coming from different sectors, from different economy, they actually get affected by the usage of AI systems. My biggest example of a successful AI project is Aadhaar project. And I'm really, really proud that we from India were able to do something which what actually means, I remember in our early days of Aadhaar launch, people used to tell us that, Singapore has not been able to do this, UK has not been able to do this, US has not been able to do this, how can India will do it? And in 2025, we are really proud that our Aadhaar system is working smooth, right, in a seamless fashion. And it has integrated. And as I said, like this is one of the largest AI project that has touched the lives of more than 1 billion population. Having a secure AI future has several real world implications, be it autonomous vehicle or healthcare or finance or any domain that you can think of. Future is going to be there, right? So where AI is going to be touching the lives of billions of population. With respect to academic contributions in the research towards AI safety and trust, I strongly believe that many of the research topics that we are going to work may not be relevant today itself, but tomorrow they are going to certainly be relevant. And I'll show you some examples as we move forward. And in academics, we can be unbiased towards providing independent validations, providing support to government with respect to creating ethical frameworks, which many of us have been actually doing very, I would say, religiously in terms of helping government in building the whole ecosystem. And we can be the bridge, like academics institutions can be the bridge, which can connect industry and government in a very seamless fashion. And I'm really proud that with IndiaAI and Meta's support, we recently announced the establishment of Center for Generative AI at IIT Jodhpur. And this is a very nice example of highlighting that particular connect between government, industry, and academics. Now, let me actually give a brief about like what we are doing and why I'm really excited about the project and why I believe IndiaAI also got excited about the project because of some of these motivating examples. Now, if you go to any of your favorite foundation model, any generative AI model, and give the prompts like image of a beautiful face and image of a chubby face, you would imagine certain outputs. We have been trying actually this example, even most recent our Janus Pro as well by DeepSeek. And here the outputs we are getting some really nice outputs, just that I would say that they're probably biased. Beautiful are only women and chubbies are only men. So, and these outputs are literally highlighting the bias that is over there. While we can say that, yes, human faces, that's how we are trained. Male can be more chubby and female can be more beautiful. Now, I'll extend the problem statement to another prompt, which is image of an Indian house. So if I write this particular prompt to Midjourney or DALL-E or Llama, these are the outputs we are getting. And I'm pretty sure none of us actually live in these kinds of houses anymore, right? I'll talk about a bit more like what is the problem, but let me give you more examples, more interesting examples, in fact. There is something called as negative prompts. So and these are actually, that's why I have taken a screenshot from two very popular foundation models. If I give a prompt as generate an image of a dog without ears or with no ears, Gemini or ChatGPT generates dogs with ears. Like they're dogs, but I'm specifically looking at dogs without ears. And this is what actually the output we get. Further, another example, just close, everyone please close your eyes and imagine image of a chicken that is never frozen. What are you imagining? And let's see what these models are imagining. This is what Janus Pro and Midjourney are imagining. While technically they're correct, that these chickens have never been frozen, but at the same time, these chickens were not even dead, right? Whereas, though I'm a vegetarian, but I know what a chicken without chicken that has never been frozen looks like, right? And so this is what actually we are probably trying to do in our project as a successful project from the first EOI, in which we are trying to highlight that a knowledge that has been learned with respect to the huge training data set that is available to many of these models, how actually we can see that some of the knowledge bases which are not correct, maybe privacy evading privacy, the mechanisms that we have built to protect privacy. So many of the times actually these models actually evade those guardrails. How to protect the model against those kinds of challenges, how to ensure that the models are unbiased, even if they have learned biased mechanisms or biased information because of the data itself, how actually we fine tune the model or update the knowledge base so that the Indian house that I showed you earlier is updated to the correct kind of houses. How do we unlearn those kinds of knowledge which is not correct, right? And update the knowledge. And that's where like our project proposal in the first round was accepted by IndiaAI's pillar. And then our definition for machine learning was to how a machine learning model can selectively forget a particular concept or a particular data point that has been used to train the model, and the model has learned that particular behavior. So this is an emerging challenge in the artificial intelligence domain. The guidelines like DPDP Act that is coming in, and at the same time the previous EU Act and Photoshop law, all these actually very clearly highlights that how can we ensure that the machine learning model which has been trained can forget certain concepts. Another interesting example which privacy preserving laws are also highlighting, that suppose if you have trained a model based on my biometric information, I as a user should have the right to say that I want to be forgotten from this particular foundation model. So the foundation model paradigm should have the mechanism to forget me from the data set or from that model itself, right? So this is a very important aspect of maintaining privacy, enabling privacy regulations, correcting biases, and refining AI systems over time. And this is what our initial results, and thanks to IndiaAI mission for supporting this project, in which we have been successfully actually now at least doing incremental unlearning of multiple concepts. For in this particular example, in the first row, if you see from the original model, we are able to, this is SDXL model in which we are able to first, if you give a prompt at photo of apple, we are able to generate photo of an apple or orange or violin or dog and an aeroplane. But then if we only selectively try to forget apple, we are able to forget an apple very clearly while maintaining oranges. We did not forget, while we are forgetting apple, we did not forget oranges. In the second iteration, when we say that let's actually also forget orange, we did not magically learn again apples. So now both an apple and oranges were forgotten, whereas violin and other concepts are still maintaining over there. So we have certain protected features or attributes that we want to forget, and certain attributes which we do not want to forget. And that's where our model has been working in the initial phases. We have very exciting results that probably Word can actually use as we go along. So we are still working on this problem statement. We are trying to work on the fine-grained machine learning problem so that we can update the knowledge of a foundation model. And this kind of foundational research is very critical as we go on. If you're talking about like having our own foundation model in a year's time frame, this kind of research is going to be one of the important aspects of building this Indian foundation model. Like finally, I'm going to come and talk about how academic institutions can benefit from IndiaAI's mission, how to actually have the development of indigenous solution, which can address the domestic challenges. And the broad answer is going to be, we as an academic institutions should ask, how can we touch the lives of a billion plus population? And the answer actually of this particular question lies in building this particular collaborative model of government industry collaboration for the real world aspect. And that's where, importantly, such initiatives play a very important role in terms of building the tools, technology, foundational research, building the next gen of AI talent, contributing towards a regulatory and ethical framework, and building AI resilience and security. And with that, I would like to once again thanks IndiaAI Mission for inviting me over here, and I can be reached at my email ID. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was very engaging and very insightful as well. We would now move to the Q&A section of this webinar. There have been a set of few general queries which have been common across our helplines as well as the chat box here. I'll request Kavita Bhatia ma'am to please join us in addressing some of those queries. Particularly to begin with would be on number one, the timelines of the second EOI project's implementation, and as well as please provide some overview on the funding aspects.
Actually, I was also seeing many of the queries are similar. In fact, this is a very evolving space, AI. So longer time durations are not advised. So we suggest that the duration should be as short as possible, but on the whole, it has to be a reasonable time frame so that whatever the theme you select should be able to be completed in that duration. This is to answer to the first question. There is no cap on the funding, but we advise that applicants should be very reasonable in giving their budget. In fact, as I said, that most of the budget for these projects, generally which we have seen in the first EOI, was on the compute. Now, as I said in my initial talk, that we have been successfully able to onboard 18,000 GPUs on a very reasonable rate. So barring these things in mind, the budget should not be as high as possible or as bloated as possible. It has to be reasonable, but take into account whatever aspects you require to do for this project.
Thank you, ma'am. As summarized by ma'am, all the details on the eligibility criteria, on the application process, submission guidelines, as well as the proposal evaluation details are available on the link for the second EOI call for proposal, which has been shared in the chat box.
One of the question is about the paper publishing. No, as a part of IndiaAI, we will not be supporting for the paper publishing. But if you're a part of if that paper comes out as a part of the project, then that can be incorporated. The budget for that can be incorporated in the project itself. But if it is not in the project, then it may not be possible for IndiaAI to support for the paper publishing.
Thank you, ma'am. I would request our speakers if there's any closing remark which they would like to make to the upcoming applicants as well as the audience here. Mr. Sunil, would you like to go first?
No, I mean, nothing to add. I think from Professor Vatsa's presentation, it is quite clear that there can be work in India that is not done in any other part of the world. And I think his personal story is also very inspiring. He came from the world of biometrics, which he had alluded to in his talk. And that is one generation of AI technologies. There, of course, the problem statement that he had was a security problem statement. So his concern was how to secure biometric systems and to make it harder for bad actors to circumvent these systems. But the same mathematical principle and the same scientific principle that informed his work in that generation of technology, he has now extrapolated them to the world of generative AI, and he's applying that same approach, the same mental models to make models forget. And this very powerful example, very inspiring example. I think it was the right thing to bring somebody as capable as Professor Vatsa on this call, because I think all the 238 people who are on this call will be inspired by his example. So a lot of work to be done, and we're very grateful that Madam Bhatia has given so many different modalities for a wide variety of researchers of different experiences to contribute. So really looking forward to this whole project, and I'm sure all of us will read the research papers keenly. And also my gratitude to Madam Bhatia. She has kindly agreed that the author's fees, at least for research papers funded by this program, could potentially be covered. Again, I feel not so critical in ML, because by the time you submit it to a journal and by the time it gets published, I think 1 or 2 years will go and the world will not know that you have published. So I don't think this author fees question is so critical, but if academics, because of their internal systems of ranking, they want to do something, that is fine. But I think Madam is being very supportive to everybody here. And we're very grateful, Madam, and to all your colleagues. Professor Vatsa.
Thank you, Sunil. Really appreciate the kind words, and once again, thanks India Mission. So, and you correctly pointed out that there are so many things that needs to be done, and I'm pretty sure that from India, many of these solutions can come, and the talent pool is over here. We are very eager in adapting and adopting both the modern AI systems and working towards finding the solutions. Be it our example from biometrics, Aadhaar, or even more recent examples on deepfake. In Indian elections, we actually had to quickly work around to understand 22 Indic languages, official languages, when we were ensuring that if any deepfakes is received, can we detect if it is real or deepfake? Right. So what end of the day, what is actually is required is, as I mentioned earlier, a key question: how can we actually do something which can touch the lives of a billion population? Right. So that is, if that is the key question that we are going to answer, then we can. I mean, this is a very old advertisement. We can do it. So, and I'm pretty sure with the support from IndiaAI mission and the way things are happening in terms of providing access to the GPUs, getting these important calls out, highlighting the important research problem statements, which through these calls, and supporting students, be it undergrad, masters, or PhD students, supporting research in academic institutions as well as startups, doing hackathons. All these are right check marks that is being done over there. And if there are more ideas, I'm pretty sure India Mission will be looking forward for more ideas. I also support what Sunil mentioned, that in the machine learning world, speed is very important, right? And then this is a clear example from DeepSeek, right? That DeepSeek came in, the whole world got swept away, right? And then within few days, OpenAI came with O3, right? So, and then now they're claiming is that O3 is beating DeepSeek. And soon I'm pretty sure someone else will come and say, we are beating everyone else. And then my hope is that within a year's time frame, we also come and say that we are beating everyone else. So, and then this is going to be a race, and then we can't wait for publications in top tier journals. Though I publish in top tier journals, but I know that my publication, which I submitted about a year ago, may come now. In fact, one of the paper got accepted after 2.5 years of review process in one of the top journals. Now, what do I do with that paper? Means, yes, it is going to be adding into the knowledge pool, but then end of the day, now it's a 2.5 years old work. So how soon we can get the work out, disseminate the work out? There are forums where the dissemination can happen, and probably we can internally discuss how we can also indigenously create our own knowledge dissemination pool, which can not wait, which may not need to wait, where like means let's wait for 2 years to get a formal review. Can we still quickly get out our ideas which can change the world? So end of the day, collaborate, and that's going to be actually how we need to move forward. That's the closing statement I wanted to give about how we collaborate more to solve our indigenous problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sunil. Thank you, Professor Mayank, for your encouraging remarks. Just to reinstate for all the attendees here, the last date for the application of the second EOI is 9th of February. We hope to see encouraging proposals based on the experiences of Mr. Mayank and inputs of Mr. Sunil. I would like to thank all our speakers here and Madam Kavita Bhatia for joining us for this webinar. It has been very insightful and encouraging, as to say. I'd also like to thank all the attendees for joining us in this webinar and staying fully active through the session. I hope you all have a good day. Thank you.